So that's so this chapter is mainly establishing the process of pure devotional service, and also contrasting again with the different species of life. How if we are not engaged in pure devotional service, we are almost equal to them. So like that, this chapter goes. But basically, this section from 13 to 25, Shona Guruji is only speaking and glorifying the personalities of Sukadeva Swami and other two personalities. At the same time, glorifying bhakti process in a different way, in a very, very criticizing manner. Okay, we'll go to text 12. Till text 12, we have seen how people are engaged in different demigods, worshipping different demigods, and trying to fulfill their petty material desires. But the Sukadeva Swami concluded that famous verse, 10th verse, 2-3-10, Kama Sarva Kama Moksha Kama Dharati, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajita Purusham Param. So we need to, whether one is having no desires at all, having all the desires, or the desire of Moksha Kama. So all these personalities should worship Yajita Purusham Param, Tivrena. So with Tivra Bhakti, one should worship the Supreme Lord. That we have seen what is meant by Tivra, what is meant by Akama. That Akama is a very beautiful definition given by Jiva Goswami. We have seen Akamatvam. Akamatvam means Bhajaniya Param Purusha Sukamatram Swasukatvam. So one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of Supreme Lord. So we are trying to find our happiness in the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Means in the happiness of those who are following the Supreme Lord, the Acharyas and the spiritual masters, the devotees. So that's how that verse is explained. To worship the Supreme Lord, and how we should worship the Lord in the association of the pure devotees. That's the next verse it speaks about. Now, so from text 12 onwards, we'll continue. So here also the verse is saying that the verse itself is saying about the jnana process. Prabhupada gives a very devotional implication. So let us see from text 12. Jnanam yada yada pratinivrutta gunormichakram atma prasadavata yatra guneshva sangha kaivalya sammatah patastvata bhakti yoga ko nimvrito harikata suratim na kuryat. Is it?
Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material moods. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted?
Yeah. So here till now the path of karma is spoken till 8-9 verses. Then in 10th verse, whatever you may have desires, so you should worship the Supreme Lord. And next verse, in the association of the devotees, we should worship the Supreme Lord. Then what will happen? Then Prabhupada gives here the understanding of if one worships like that, then one will achieve the transcendental knowledge in relation to the Supreme Hari. So the transcendental knowledge in relation to the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in complete suspension of the waves. So once you worship, once you do bhakti, janayatyasu vairagyam jnanam chatyahaitukam vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga prayoyitah janayatyashu vairagyam jnanam chatyahaitukam. So that transcendental knowledge, Prabhupada here he takes that jnanam here, the jnanam word, the jnanam yatapavrat yatapara Yada pratinivritta gunurmi chakram. So the Jnanam word Prabhupada takes it as a transcendental knowledge resulting from bhakti. So that's how he explains everything in terms of transcendental devotional service. But in terms of Vishwanath Thakur takes that jnana as these people are like jnanis. That jnanam, that jnana is, he translates in terms of jnana process, as a process of jnana. So the people who are in the jnana process, they generally discriminate between body and soul. They have realization of the Brahman. And by that, they don't experience any kind of this gunu or me, the waves of material modes. Chakram, the whirlpool of material waves, modes of material nature. They don't experience. Why? Because they are Atma Prasada, self-satisfied, they are realized, Brahman realized, they have attachment to any material modes. Then they tend to Kaivalya Sammata Patas. So then they tend to Kaivalya, the Brahman realization. So they also take to bhakti. That's how he concludes. O Nivrito. Yes, 1 minute. I will just ask question. I'll take the question. So then what to speak of they are not attracted to bhakti. How can they be not attracted to bhakti also? They will also be attracted basically. So the karma is explained in the initial verses, and now he concludes the text as a jnana. These people also will be attracted. Yes. Yeah, please.
Prabhuji, your voice is breaking a bit. Wanted to check if it is for me or somewhere. Your signal is also, it is showing little low.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's breaking for me also.
Through breaking.
Okay. Maybe I'll switch off my video. You will see.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Maybe the signal. Let me know after this works. Otherwise, I will change to another network.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just wait. Give me a minute. I'll just. Okay. After 5 minutes, you let me know if there is still break in the voice. Then I'll change the network again. Okay.
Prabhuji, it's breaking now a bit still.
It's still breaking.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. 1 minute. Okay.
Unable to hear, Prabhuji.
Huh?
Prabhuji,
Just now I changed. It's audible.
Little bit, Prabhuji, but little breaking.
It's still breaking. It's continuation. Okay, let me. After this verse, you let me know.
okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's breaking. Still the same, still the same.
It is better, Prabhuji. It is better now.
Okay.
Prabhuji, again it started breaking.
Okay. Let me cover 5 minutes. We'll first. Prabhupada writes about this standard bliss. So we are in verse 12. So the verse is about the process of bliss. They also
Prabhuji, we are not able to make out any sentence.
Prabhuji, it is breaking.
okay. Okay. What to do? Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Yes.
Hare Ram,
Now-
Ram, Hare Hare.
Now,
Is it
okay.
okay?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji,
Is it
better.
okay?
Prabhuji, you can read a little more. We can see.
Okay, I think I am in some part of Karnataka. Let us see how it goes. Yeah, I'll see a little more. Maybe I'll switch off the video. Let us see how it will improve. Maybe. Still saying internet isn't stable. Okay, so what is saying Prabhupada translates into service, how it affects devotee. And my parents are also attracted to bhakti. What to speak of demigod worshippers. So Prabhupada explains
Prabhuji, we are unable to understand. Sorry.
about the association of devotees that we have seen in the last verse.
Haribol,
When
Prabhuji,
we
not able to
practice
understand.
the
Prabhuji,
transcendental knowledge,
it's breaking a lot more now.
that is
Prabhuji, not
happening.
able to understand, yes.
So transcendental knowledge should result in bliss. Knowledge once you start. Let me see. Yeah, one just change my location. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now,
It's still breaking,
honest
Prabhuji.
true.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna was
Okay.
understandable, but when you speak something else, it
So
breaks
when
it.
we start speaking,
Yeah,
so when I start speaking, it's breaking.
yes, Prabhuji, few words in between are breaking.
Few verses.
Few words in between, we are unable to follow.
Okay.
Like part of sentence we can hear, and then few words go again, like that. So we can't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I understand that voice break, I understand. It's quite difficult to make out what is going on. Right here, when signal showing okay, and I changed my internet also. Still the same. Let me see. I'll just read few lines. Maybe let me know. This is experience even in the stage of devotional practice, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature stage, the developed transcendental feelings culminates in realization of particular relationship with the Lord, by which a living entity is originally constituted. How is it now? Was it okay or still the same? Honest bro?
It was better, Prabhuji.
Better in the sense still it's breaking.
Prabhuji, but
Yes, Prabhuji. One or two words broke, but it was better than before.
Okay. I don't know what to do. Okay, one more para I'll read. Let us see. The process of devotional service is called Kaivalya Pantha. So this Kaivalya Pantha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relate to the personality of Godhead. And the natural consequence of hearing such Harikatha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane topics, for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive, and in the mature state, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives. It was the same, or any?
It was better, Prabhuji.
Okay, but still there is a break. Still there are breaks. Is it like that?
Yeah, one or two breaks. That's it.
Okay, okay. We will continue maybe 10 minutes. Let us see.
till then, can one of us read? Like if you guide us.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I think,
Yeah,
reading is just for a few seconds,
make
but then Prabhuji speaks quite a lot, after every paragraph. So it will be just like reading.
Surely, I'll just explain after. No, it's not it should not be like that, just reading. But I will try to see for one verse. Once you read the highlighted portion, then I'll explain. Please read this for this verse, we will see. Please read this one.
Translation. This transcendental is transcendental bliss at the level of ruchi, bhava, etc. No, that this transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice, sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature the process of devotional service, Kaivalya Jnana. Kaivalya Pantha. This Kaivalya Pantha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relates to the personality of Godhead. And the natural consequences of hearing such Hari Katha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane topics for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive. And in the mature state, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives.
Please continue.
Who follows this Kaivalya Pantha and whether it can be shared with others? The first class devotee of the Lord attained this stage by devotional service, but despite his loftiness, for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of the preacher of the Lord's glory and dovetail all into devotional service, even mundane interest, just to give the neophyte a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. Srila Rupa Goswami
Yeah, that's it.
Srila Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So I'll just narrate some, just explain this one, and then you let me know how it is. My voice about the audio effects. So in this verse, what Prabhupada explains basically is when we are trying to practice devotional service, even at the sadhana stage also, we can experience a natural taste of devotional service. It doesn't mean that we have to have a perfection of bhakti. But in sadhana stage also we can experience some level of happiness. That's what anardhanivritti. It's not an immediate transformation of anardhanivritti and then nishtha. The process of experience of happiness, susukam, Prabhupada explains also that one is very happy to practice the bhakti process. Susukam kartumapeyam. So the bhakti itself is a very joyful process. So that's how even in sadhana stage also it's quite relishable. That's what Prabhupada explains here, Kaivalya. Then the Kaivalya Pantha explains how we can gradually progress also from process of Shravana to till Prema. He gradually explains this process, hearing about the topics of the Lord. And then we can also share with others. It's not that the topmost devotee, the top class devotee, first class devotee, Prabhupada explains, devotee attains this stage by devotional service. But despite his loftiness, For the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of a preacher for the Lord's glory and devote all into devotional service, even mundane interest, just to give the neophytes a chance to transform. So this is the nature of devotees. That's what in the last verses we are trying to see. The nature of devotees and the association of devotees, we are relishing the bhakti process. So the first class devotee comes down to second class, so Madhyam. He shares with others the process of bhakti. So that's how Prabhupada explains this verse. This is a transcendental process resulting. How was it, Prabhuji? It was still breaking and it's not at all understandable.
Much better. 90% it was understandable to me. 99.
Okay, others? Any
Yes,
comment
Prabhuji,
about
it was
others?
very well understandable. Yes.
Yeah, understandable.
Okay. So we'll continue. Let me know after these 3 verses. Next 3 verses are one more set of verses are coming. And I will ask once more again all of your feedback. Okay. So basically, till now, so the process of karma kanda explained about the worship of demigods, then the process of bhakti is explained in contrast with jnana also. And the results are seen here in this verse. How it is a joyful process. It takes us one from the modes of material nature and it gives us Atma Prasada. It fulfills the heart, the process of bhakti. So who else refuses? Who else refuses this path of bhakti? That's so the verse itself rhetorically asks, Ko nivrito harikatha suratim nakuryat. Who else can refuse? Who could fail to be attracted? So that's Sudha Goswami explains till now. Sudha Goswami spoke till now. So who else will not be attracted to the process of bhakti? That's how we established the path of bhakti till now. From the last 3 chapters. First chapter, the first step in God realization. Second chapter, the Lord in the heart. And now the third chapter, the transformation, the change of the heart. So Sukadeva Goswami is concluding here this verse with a rhetorical question: who else will not be attracted? So text 13. Now Shaunaka Uvacha. Shaunaka Uvacha. Ita vivyahritam raja nishamya bharatarshava kimanyat prishtavan bhuyo vayyasakim risham kavim. Please read.
Shaunaka said, the son of Vyasdev, Srila Sukdev Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said?
So now, Sukadeva Goswami spoke. Now here, and down the top 2 personalities, Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Down that line, now Sukadeva Goswami explaining to Shaunaka Rishis. So now Shaunaka Rishi was inquiring from Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami was, of course, you know the loops. I'm just narrating. So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining what happened between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So now the second loop, Shaunaka Rishi asking a question to Sukadeva Goswami. That so he described all these things. Then what did Parikshit again inquired? So basically it shows that they are very much eager to hear more the conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. This question shows the eagerness of the audience, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. So 13 to 25 is Shaunaka Rishi is glorifying and requests Sukadeva Goswami to speak more Harikatha. Harikatha between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, what has transpired between them, that Harikatha he wants to hear. he and his all his group rishis, Naimacharanya rishis. So on the next 3 verses, 13 to 16, glorifies 3 personalities. Sutta Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, and Sutta Goswami by Rishi. So in this verse is glorification of Vaiyasakim, and not glorification of it's just a question. It's not exactly the glorification. It's just a question. What did happen after that? So that's how. But Prabhupada explains about Vaiyasakim, the Sukadeva Goswami. His qualities Prabhupada explains in the purport. So the Rishim Kavim Prabhupada translates. Vaiyasakim Rishim Kavim. Rishi is also Rishi, and he is also Kavi to Sukadeva Goswami. So that's how Prabhupada gives a whole 20th Charitamrita. So Sukadeva Goswami is compared here as a poet. So in the last, Prabhupada mentions, in other words, he was a poet amongst the sages. Rishi means sages, and Kavi means poet, right? So generally, sages are more of a intellectual, philosophical, right? The wisdom, literature, reading, and poet means it's more of a heart, poetry. It's more of emotions, more of a artistic way of putting things, either pictures, especially poems are rhyming, the meters, the chandas. So it is more of an art. So he is both. He was a poet among sages, Prabhupada, and also he was a poet. So the combination, the very rare combination. Sages, I mean, Rishim and Kavim. So that's how Prabhupada explains. Okay, text 14. Etat chushrushatam vidvan sotano rahasi bhashitam kata hari kato tarka satam chu sadasit dhruvam. Please read.
O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees.
So he's glorifying Sutta Goswami by saying Vidvan, O learned Sutta Goswami. So that's how. Vidvan, etat chushrushatam vidvan. So we are eager to hear. The qualification is also explained. We are all eager to hear. Besides that, the topics which result in discussion of Hari certainly should be discussed in the assembly of devotees. We are all sitting here and we want to hear Hari Katha. So they are hoping that Parikshit Maharaj would inquire about topics of Krishna. So that's how he is expressing his great hope that there is more nectar in that conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, and that we want to drink. So please narrate, because you are Vidwan, you are very learned. So Prabhupada explains about what to be discussed in the society of devotees. What is the association is meant for. Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam tatayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So this should be the association of the devotees. This should happen. Machitta madgata prana. So centered around topics of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Prabhupada explains this one.
Therefore, literatures like the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and similar other literatures which are full of the pastimes of the Lord are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees.
Yeah. So anytime we have the time should be utilized in discussing about wonderful stories about the Lord, His incarnation, different incarnations. different pastimes. That should be the main our activity, especially in the association of devotees when we are coming together. So let us discuss the topics with whomever we find. If that is a question, Prabhupada says no. It is said here, therefore, that such it is said here, therefore, that such literature should be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Unless they are discussed by devotees, such literatures cannot be released by the higher class of men. See, the same literature is there. The object may be the same, but the subjective experience will be vary with the person who is speaking. Though if one may be speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, if the person who is speaking is not at all practicing devotional service, and especially pure devotional service, the effects will be varying. That's like we see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the story of Devanand Pandit. Devanand Pandit was reading Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam only. It's not something from Vedanta Sutras. He was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. But still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so angry that he said, I will tear off the Bhagavatam and throw it on the road. So he was not at all very much appreciating the Devan Pandit's way of explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's so the subject, the Srimad Bhagavatam may be there, but whoever recites, Prabhupada many times explains professional leaders. Here also the same. Prabhupada says we should be very careful in hearing, though it may be the same Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should discuss in the assembly of devotees who are bona fide in their hearing. So that should be the main understanding. So yeah. So this was basically Shaunak Rishi is saying that we are very eager to hear, and there is much nectar that has transpired between Sukadeva Swami and Parshit Maharaj. So you are Vidwan, you are very learned. So please speak to us. Text 15. Savai Bhagavato Raja Pandaveyo Maharadaha Balakridana Kai Kridan Krishna Kridam Ya Adade. Please speak.
Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity.
Yeah. So continuing the glorification of here Parishit Maharaj. So till now Srila Swami was glorified as Vidwan, and Shaunak asked, please speak about what happened after that, the conversation when Sukadeva Goswami spoke about the establishment of bhakti, what had happened after that establishment of bhakti. So he glorified Parishit Maharaj. Prabhupada explains very beautiful purport. Bala Kridana Kai Kridan. So who Parishit Maharaj was so attached to Krishna that he was playing with dolls of Krishna, with the different playthings which are connected to Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada explains. Please read the highlighted portion.
Children who appear in such families, fortunately, generally imitate such worship of the deities, even in the way of childhood play. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Continue. Yeah.
Example
Continue.
1. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family. And in our childhood, we imitated the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. Our father encouraged us in all respects to observe all functions such as the Rath Yatra and Dol Yatra ceremonies. And he used to spend money liberally for distributing prasadam to us children and our friends. Example 2. Our spiritual master, who also took his birth in a Vaishnava family, got all inspirations from his great Vaishnava father, Thakur Bhaktivedanta. That is the way of all lucky Vaishnava families.
Yeah, continue.
The celebrated Mirabai was a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna as the great lifter of Govardhan Hill. The life history of many such devotees is almost the same because there is always symmetry between the early lives of all great devotees of the Lord. According to Jiva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit must have heard about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavan, for he used to imitate the pastimes with his young playmates. According to Sridhar Swami, Maharaj Parikshit used to imitate the worship of the family deity by elderly members. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also confirms the viewpoint of Jiva Goswami. So, accepting either of them, Maharaj Parikshit was naturally inclined to Lord Krishna from his very childhood. He might have imitated either of above mentioned activities, and all of them establish his great devotion from his very childhood, a symptom of a Mahabhagvat. Such Mahabhagavatas are called Nitya Siddhas or souls liberated from birth. But there are also others who may not be liberated from birth but who develop a tendency for devotional service by association, and they are called Sadhana Siddhas. There is no difference between the two in the ultimate
Yeah.
issue, and so the
Thank you.
conclusion is
Thank
that
you.
everyone can become a Sadhana Siddh, a devotee of the Lord simply by association with the pure devotees. The concrete example is our great spiritual master Sri Narada Muni. In his previous life, he was simply a boy of a maid servant, but through association with great devotees, he became a devotee of Lord of his own standard, unique in the history of devotional service.
Yeah, here Parikshit Maharaj, how even in his childhood, he was playing with dolls, in the sense that dolls of Krishna. So he was so attached to Krishna, basically. So Prabhupada explains that beautiful point, how if there is a chance to be born in a Vaishnava family, it's all great fortune, because so many impressions of spiritual activities, impressions of devotional service will be impressed upon the children, so they will become great Mahatmas. So that's the beauty of devotional service and the fortune of those children who are taking birth in the Vaishnava families. So Prabhupada quite often says about this great fortune about himself and his spiritual master also, about Srila Bhaktivedanta, that how we have great responsibilities, that we give impression to whomever we come in contact with, in the form of children or in the form of whoever we are trying to preach. So whoever it may be, so we should give a solid impressions. So the principle is giving impressions of spiritual life when they have, especially the young age. Of course, the age is very much stressed here. Like Parikshit Maharaj is in his young age, and Prabhupada and Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. So all these personalities, like here Parikshit Maharaj. So at the young age, when the impressions are strong, just like in cement concrete, when it is wet, when you give an impression, it becomes quite strong, right? Then it stays for whole life itself in the concrete, that impression. It's a general case, but exceptions will be there, definitely. Don't let us not have any utopian understanding that those children who are born in Krishna conscious families, why are not practicing devotional service now? So it's general principle. Definitely the impressions will be there, but it's up to one's own free will. Once he comes to adolescent age, then it becomes his own free will, how he acts and how he behaves, how he thinks. Everybody is different. It is between him and Krishna again, once he comes to a point where he understands about himself. But till that time, to give very, very solid impressions of spiritual life. Yeah, that's what Prabhupada mainly emphasizes here. Text 16. Vayasakescha Bhagavan Vasudeva Parayana Urugaya Gunodara Satam Syuhi Samagame. Please read.
Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vasudeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge. Was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers and in the company of great devotees.
So Pranaparishi is continuing glorifying here Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami and glory of assembly of devotees. Because so as mentioned in previously also, the assembly of devotees is the greatest asset. So here Prabhupada basically mentions that assembly does not mean thousands of people we have to, or 50, 100. That may not be assembly. Assembly can simply mean also two. So what the assembly of Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, it is also assembly of devotees. So that's the main emphasis of this verse. That's Satam, the assembly of devotees, pure devotees. Please read the first paragraph.
The word Satyam is very important in this verse. Satyam means the pure devotees who have no other desire than to serve the Lord. Only in the association of such devotees are the transcendental glories of Lord Krishna properly discussed. It is said by the Lord that his topics are all full of spiritual significance, and once one properly hears about him in the association of Satyam, certainly one senses the great potency and so automatically attains to the devotional stage of life.
It's Satam, Satyam, it's Satam. Okay. Satam prasangam amvir samvido bhavanti hritkar narasayana katha tadyoshanasu pavargavatmani shraddha bhakti so ratir anukramishati. So that's how Prabhupada translates that verse in lines that Satam prasangam amvir samvido. Kapil Muni section, it comes beautiful verse. Prabhupada has wonderful lectures on that verse from 3rd canto, 25th chapter. So Satam, same, the assembly, glory of the assembly of devotees explained here. So that is the main point of Prabhupada, that assembly of devotees is the greatest asset. Just like Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami here from Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the assembly of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So that is also the greatest assembly where about Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is about Krishna, by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna. So these two are Krishna Katha, Harikathas. Two types of Harikathas. One is by Krishna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and one is about Krishna, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. So these two kathas has to be released in the association of the devotees. Satam Sangam Veera Sambhya. That should be the natural symptom of a devotional community. Of course, if no one is there, we are releasing ourselves. That's what one of the famous commentary of Srila Swami is in one of the verses that Shrotavya Kititavya Smaratavya Dabhayam Shranvanti Gayanti Granantyavikshasaha. So for that verse, Shranvanti Gayanti Grananti Sasadava, in 1st canto, 5th chapter, one verse comes. Present. And the devotee speaks. If there are no audience, if there are no speakers, then he releases himself. So Shunvanti Gayanti Grananti Sasadava. I think this is 1514, 1511, I think, about glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. There it says that one. So, Shruntvanti, they hear. The audience, if the speaker is available, they hear from the speaker. Grananti means they speak, speaking. Sadhus speak. When there are audience, if there are audience, they speak. Shunvanti, Grananti. So if there are no speakers and if there are no audience, Gayanti, they themselves keep on singing. So that's the nature of devotees, sadhava. Sadhus, they are very much interested in always relishing the Krishna Katha in the association of the devotees, either by speaking or either by hearing. If it is not possible both, then they are relishing themselves like that. Okay, text 17. So till now 3 verses are spoken in terms of what happened after that. Shonakrushi is asking, after explaining about the process of yoga, process of karma, and then establishing process of bhakti, what had happened between Srila Goswami and Parishit Maharaj. Please speak. We are very eager to shrutam from you, Vidwan. And because Krishna Katha definitely might have transpired, because Parishit Maharaj was such a great devotee that from his childhood onwards he was practicing, worshipping, glorifying the Supreme Lord. And Sukadeva Goswami also is such a great transcendentalist. So there must have been more nectar. So please speak to us. So then now Shonakrushi is saying about what is the value of life if we are not hearing the Krishna Katha. The glory of Krishna Katha is now coming from 17 to 25. These verses are really, really amazing verses of second canto, whole Bhagavatam. They speak in terms of the time, the energy that we need to spend, and also in terms of comparing with the different species of life. If we are not doing Krishna Katha in the association of devotees, what we are all compared with. Okay. So is there any feedback from my side how it was? Whether it is okay, shall we continue or we?
It's good.
It is perfectly going on, bro.
Is it understandable?
It's good now.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. 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 We'll continue. Thanks to Lord for setting up things. Many things are beyond our control. Not many things. Everything is beyond our control. But sometimes we think that we are controllers. Okay. Anyway. Ayurharati vaibhumsam udyanastam cha yannasau tasyarthe yakshuno nita uttama shloka vartaya. Please speak.
Translation. Both by rising,
Yeah, you're audible.
both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of all good percent of Godhead.
So now, in fact, I wanted to read every line with all of you. So there's these wonderful purports. So let us see how much we can cover. Definitely, I want to cover this one, 70 to 25. But at your leisure, you can go through all these purports. The Prabhupada wonderfully explains every aspect of these verses. But we may cover at least 50-60% of the purports. May not be all, but you can release at your leisure time. Yes. Ayurharti Vaipumsam. This is one of the famous verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ayurharti Vaipumsam Udyannastam Chayannasau Tasyarthe Yakshanoni Tavattam Shloka Vartaya. So Vishwanath Thakur says that don't delay this activity of devotional service or glorifying Krishna in the association of the devotees. Why? Because life is stolen. Then the life, in terms of time is being secretly stolen by the sun, by rising and setting. So we are not just to when we see back in our life, we are amazed to even to remember that I have passed so many years in our life, like 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years. It's like a fraction of a second or just happened like that. So we don't even realize that I have passed so many years, but time passes very fast. So for that we need to realize that's what here Founder Rishi is saying, that by rising and setting sun, it decreasing our life, but not for the one who is discussing the topics of Lord, Supreme Lord Hari. So please read the first para, Prabhupada translates here.
This verse, now this word indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our last relationship with the Supreme Lord by escalation of devotional service. Importance of time.
So
Time and right.
We will 1 minute. What is this verse is saying? That it indirectly confirms greater importance of a human life. So it's indirectly confirming importance how much its human life is valuable. This is for what? To realize our lost relationship, to revive the relationship, not only to establish our relationship again, the Supreme Lord. How? By acceleration of devotional service. So the devotional service has to be being up. So by acceleration of devotional service. So that's how this verse is giving us an opportunity to understand the rarity and also the urgency. Both aspects, the rarity and the urgency, has to be emphasized. Okay, please read now.
Importance of time.
Please read now.
Time and tide wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Shall I continue? Importance of human life to revive the relationship. Human life is awarded in a living entity, Jiva, simply so that he can realize the spiritual identity and his permanent service of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is a natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly pursued in spiritual activities. How to revive that relationship? The Lord is the complete spirit whole.
1 minute. 1 minute. Hare Krishna. So here Prabhupada explains the importance of time. So even a fraction of duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. This is very famous Chanakya's statement. So that's all. One need to be very much valuing the time that we have. Definitely, it's very difficult to control the time always, but still, whatever time is possible, we utilize in our service, in service of the Lord. So, importance of human life, Prabhupada explains here that human life is awarded to a living entity simply so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. Reviving that one is the main focus of our human life. Continue. Please continue reading.
Yes. How to revive that relationship? The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with any one of the above mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words. Endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is there a failure. Even a slight beginning of such activities is sufficient to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once to the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected to the ear by the grace of devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Oral reception of the transcendental message implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of the tree implies fructification of all the other parts. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees, like Sukadeva Goswami, prepares one's complete life for eternity, and thus the sun fails to rob the pure devotees of the pure devotee of his duration of life, in as much as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of his material infection of the eternal living beings. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subject to the laws of birth, death, old age, and disease. How is guaranteed? The materialist way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the...
We pause here. So Prabhupada says how it is guaranteed that once
your voice is not audible, brother.
In spiritual life, how it is guaranteed that he gives example of charity. Of course, it's famous from Puranas that once you give some charity to Brahmanas, this much you will get back. If you give a Brahmana who is dead, you will get 100 times. So like that, there is a verse in Puranas. So similarly, there is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment passed in the association of pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. So that's how Prabhupada explains that it's sure, don't be any doubt, don't have any kind of don't take back in terms of giving time for devotional service or in the association of the association of devotees. Let us invest. Though we are unable to see immediate results or immediate any kind of return in terms of our devotional advancement, some things we can see the devotional results. We can experience happiness, satisfaction, great joy many times, but other things we may not be able to immediately realize and see the results. But still, keeping faith in the process, keeping faith in the acharyas, we have achieved the success. We have shown the success. So we continue ahead. Guaranteed. So that's how he explains this beautiful verse. That what the verse is saying, that our life should not be wasted. So we need to utilize everything and every time, every moment in the service of the Lord, the glorification of the Lord. Uttama shloka vartaya. So summarizes about the urgency and rarity of human life. The rarity explains how we can revive our original relationship. As he used beautiful examples of this potency of bhakti, giving an injection intravenously acts very effectively. So similarly, the messages of the Lord. So these are very beautiful lines, very powerful lines by Prabhupada. So I wanted to read with all of you. Last Prabhupada, he mentions that a devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such a guaranteed life. So this is from Ismail Thakur's one of the statement, commentary, that a devotee feels that whatever situation I am going through is by Krishna's special mercy. Maybe I can just share that commentary that you are also very much inspired to see.
Audible, there is no noise.
1 minute, 1 minute. I am just sharing
Okay.
the document. Here, Vishwanath writes that devotee blessed with long life by Krishna then becomes the associate of the Lord. So, because his life is not stolen by sun, the devotee's life, so that's how he is blessed with long life by Krishna. And he becomes associate of the Lord after this life. Certainly, his life is devotee's life. Thus, the devotee of Krishna does not have his life stolen away. Okay. Age, death, sickness appear by the will of the Lord for increasing his longing for the Lord, for letting the opinions of others not to be destroyed, and for protecting the confidential nature of these devotees. So they are not caused by time or karma. They are means the old age, the death, and the sickness are not caused by time or karma. So this is one of the main siddhanta of devotional service. We need to internalize that whatever is happening in devotee's life, that they are all by the will of the Lord for increasing the longing of the devotee for the Lord. Why it has been done? Why the old age, disease, and sickness, death appear for the devotee? Though the verse is saying that sun cannot steal away the life. That means there is no death for the devotee. But why the death is seen? Why old age is seen? Why sickness is seen? This is by the will of the Lord for increasing the longingness of the devotee for the Lord, and also for letting the opinions of others not to be destroyed. Opinions of others who? Karmis and Gyanis. By seeing the sickness, by seeing the death, by seeing old age of the devotees, they feel confident about their paths. Okay, devotional service may not be so great also. Let us walk on our path as well. So that is the one of the statement by Vishwanath Thakur, and for protecting the confidential nature of his devotees. So though devotees are internally very much relishing confidential nature of bhakti, confidential relishment of bhakti, so protecting them from all these people, Karmis and Gyanis, who criticizes them many times, devotees. So for that, these symptoms are seen in the devotees also. Though the verse is saying that Ayur Harati Vaipumsam, Janastam, so though it's saying for the people in general, sun will steal, but not for the devotees. Still, devotees are seen that they have old age, disease, and death. Why it is? So here it explains, Vishwanath explains the reasons how it is done. And they are not caused by time or karma. It's not about, but it's only by the will of the Lord, not by karma or time. So that's how Prabhupada brings out this point of old age. He brings from that concept a devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such a guaranteed life. Impetus means a devotee becomes more serious, more eager. Oh, I am trying to. When devotee becomes more serious by seeing these symptoms. Okay, now time is becoming very less. I need to increase my devotional service more and more. So that's how these becomes impetuses to increase our intensity of devotional service. Okay. Okay, text 18. सर्वः किं न जीवन्ति भास्त्वा किं न श्वसन्ति युता न खादन्ति न मेहन्ति किं ग्रामे पशवोपरे.
Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen?
So now here the energy in terms of life is explained. The time is explained in the previous verse. Ayur Harati, the time is explained. How it is still stolen away by sun. But here in terms of energy, how life itself is explained. What life is meant for. Prabhupada explains here that it's life meant for tapasya, not meant for increasing, prolonging the duration of sense enjoyments. Because many other forms of life also have, also they live, but they are not practicing bhakti. So if you are not practicing, basic theme continues that Shronakrishi is saying that if you are not practicing devotional service in the essence, in the association of devotees, then there is no use. Your life is stolen away, and you are not even, just like, do the trees not live? They are also living, and you are also living. What is the difference? You are also breathing. The blacksmiths, bellows, they are also breathing. Then what is the use? And animals, species of life, they are also eating and producing children. Then what is the difference? In that way, he's speaking. Okay. Please read this one, the first paragraph.
The materialistic man of the modern age will argue that life or a part of it is never meant for discussion of theosophical or theological arguments. Life is meant for the maximum duration of existence for eating, drinking, sexual intercourse, making merry, and enjoying life. The modern man wants to live forever. By the advancement of material science, and therefore, there are many foolish theories for prolonging life to the maximum duration. But the Srimad Bhagavatam affirms that the life is not meant for so-called economical development or advancement of materialistic science, for the hedonistic philosophy of eating, mating, drinking, and merrymaking. Life is solely meant for tapasya, for purifying one's existence, so that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of the human form of life.
Yeah, thank you. So here Prabhupada again urges us to become more serious about the spiritual advancement, not for the material advancement in terms of increasing our facilities for our sensual indulgences. Okay, so that's what Prabhupada always emphasizes. That life is meant for tapasya. We need to, definitely senses need some engagement and some satisfaction. That is not denied. Prabhupada many times mentions about this fact. Senses need some fulfillment, but it should not become too much, which is becoming a poison. And also, as one grows in devotional service, one automatically, as the verse says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam. Vairagyam, that kind of detachment from the senses will automatically arise. That's the main symptom. It has to be the main symptom as we are progressing devotional service. So then Prabhupada mentions about why one is so much after this increasing and prolonging the material enjoyment, because of ignorance only. The materialists want to prolong life as much as possible because they have no information on next life. This ignorance about eternity of the living being and the change of the covering in the material world has played havoc in the structure of modern human society. So without knowledge, without being ignorant about future life, so we are more and more trying to advance materially and fulfill the sensual happiness, but which is like a pouring fuel on fire. It's never going to be fulfilled. आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुध ये संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयो न एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुध. Buddha, the intelligent person, has to understand that it's never going to fulfill the actual longing of the heart. Okay, prolonged life doesn't mean progress in spirit. Prolonged life doesn't mean progress in spiritual life. Yeah, Prabhupada brings about the point of Tarva Hakim Najivanti. Trees also live for long, but doesn't mean that they are progressing in spiritual life. So Prabhupada explains about different trees. He brings up the tamarind tree in Vrindavan and botanical in banyan tree in Calcutta. They have hundreds and hundreds of years. But though they have such a prolonged life, doesn't mean that they are equal to Lord Chaitanya or any personality, Shankaracharya, who had very short life in comparison with them, hundreds of years. So prolonged life doesn't mean that a spiritual advancement. So same thing applies to our life also, as the prolonged life in spiritual life doesn't mean that we have spiritual realization. We need to be also seen our term in those terms. Prolonged life in Krishna consciousness doesn't automatically mean that we are spiritual advanced. So how many years it may pass, it doesn't have much, may not have much change in the heart unless we understand what actually the essence of Krishna consciousness and trying to imbibe and practice that. So, Prabhupada brings up the point of pare. The word apare is used here. Tarva kimna jivanti. Comparison with the trees and the blacksmith's bellows, brastva, bhastra, kimna shvasanti yuta, nakhasanti namahin. Kim grame pashavo apare. Apare means here Prabhupada says that they are more than animals. That's what he comments. Other animals, apare. Please read this one.
The specific utterance of Srimad Bhagavatam in regard to other animals means that persons who are simply engaged in planning a better type of animal life, consisting of eating, breathing, and mating, are also animals in the shape of human beings. A society of such polished animals.
Continue.
A society of such polished animals cannot benefit suffering humanity, for an animal can easily harm another animal, but rarely do good.
Yeah. Kim grame pashuvo pare. Pare means other animals. It's a higher. So yeah, the Chandragrishi is continuing the topic where it says, if we are not engaged in devotional service, if we are not hearing the glories of the Lord, our time is stolen, our energy is being destroyed just like living like trees or like animals. So now he becomes more intense in his speech. So let us continue the reading. Suvidvarashtroh karai samstutah purushah pashuhu nayat karnapato peto jatu nama gadagrajah.
Men who are like dogs, hawks, camels, and asses. Praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils.
Yeah.
Life is criticized
Yeah, I just narrate it.
Yeah.
So here this verse, Swarnaka Rishi is comparing in a very amazing way. The comparison itself, the criticism itself in a different form. He says that men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, they praise those men who never listen to the transcendental passions of Lord Krishna. So that means those who are not hearing Krishna Katha, they are more and more in animalistic life. That will be explained by Prabhupada in the purport also. They are highest, right? So here, let us read this one. Life is criticized in highest degree if it is not directed towards Krishna, hearing the glories of the Lord. How? Saying they means those who are not listening about Lord, saying they are like dogs, etc., is one level. So if you say that, okay, those who are not thinking about Lord, those who are not practicing devotional service, they are like dogs and camels and asses. So when you say like that, it is like at one level of criticism. I mean, it's also very, very strong criticism. Like personalities like Prabhupada only can speak to others, especially. We cannot even use those words. I mean, it's a very, very sensitive. So, but it's a Bhagavatam, so we can surely convey the message in a very polite manner. But it's not saying that. Bhagavatam is not saying that the men who are not listening to the Krishna Katha are those who are not hearing are bigger dogs, bigger hogs, bigger camels, bigger asses. How? Because men like dogs, hogs, camels, they praise them, those who are not listening. So that's how it's comparing. That's how it's in a very profound way he is presenting here the criticism to those who are not hearing Krishna Katha. So this was speaking at a different level and a more advanced level of these dogs and camels. That will be explained by Prabhupada. You understand that one? So Prabhupada brings out the different qualities of different animals of the what are presented here: dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. How they waste their life, what they are engaged in, how they are how they are wasting their life in different things which are not at all those when we are adopting those qualities in our life. Yeah, please read highlighted portion.
Modern universities education practically prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality with which to accept a position of service to a greater master. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully, for bits of bread, a man serves a master faithfully without sufficient rewards.
Yeah. So definitely dog has a very good quality of faithful service to the master. Even mentions about how I want to become a dog of Vaishnava. So in that sense that we should be and we should be we can be taking up that quality of surrendering to the spiritual master, surrendering to Krishna in terms of that. But it has another quality what Prabhupada mentioning here. So hogs also, there Prabhupada mentions about there is no discrimination in eating. But we, especially the humans, have to have some discrimination. Please read.
Therefore, a human being is meant to eat a particular type of food. He should not imitate the animals to derive so-called vitamin values. Therefore, a person who has no discrimination in regard to eating is compared to a hog. Camel, The camel is a kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. A person who wants to enjoy family life or worldly life of so-called enjoyment is compared to the camel. Materialistic life is full of thorns, and so one should live only by the prescribed methods of Vedic regulations just to make the best use of bad bargain.
Yeah. Here about dogs, hogs, and camel. That's what Bhagavatam Shaunakariji is saying, that if we are not engaging in our life and time in service of the Lord, in the glorification of the Lord, we are all compared to these species of life. So camel, one more quality is explained here, Prabhupada, that it eats thorny bushes and also blood. So blood begins to flow with camel's mouth. Thorn mixed with fresh blood creates taste for the foolish camel, and so he enjoys a thorn eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money by different ways and questionable means eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has situated these deceased fellows along with the camels. These fellows, in the sense that those who are not have attraction towards the hearing the glories of the Lord. And then next Prabhupada explained the ass. We had many times Prabhupada explaining about the ass. It just makes so hard, but it's not at all intelligent animal. The greatest fool amongst animals. Prabhupada writes here. Okay. Please read the summary. Last this paragraph.
So, Srimad Bhagavatam's categorization of the common man without any spiritual enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. The leaders of such ignorant masses of people may feel very proud of being adored by such a number of dogs and hogs, but that is not very flattering. The Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the science of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of man on account of his atheistic temperament. The essence, or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in greater proportion.
Yeah. This is the main meaning what the verse is saying. Such godless leaders of dogs, hog like men are bigger animals with qualities of animals in their proportion. If men are compared to dogs, hogs, and all the assets, they are glorifying the persons who are not listening to glories of the Lord. Means that they are more bigger in the same proportion. So that's what Prabhupada explains different qualities of these animals to make us understand, to make us of more and more to practice spiritual life more seriously in engaging the service of the Lord. So, Vishwanath Thakur writes that animals can't accept qualities of other animals, right? Just like dog cannot carry heavy burden, just like cats. But he says that the so-called leaders are accepting all the qualities of animals at a time. So he's more heavy in the terms what he's saying. He's adding flavor to what Shaunakariji is saying. Shaunakariji is saying these people are compared to sometimes asses, sometimes hogs, sometimes camels. It's saying that Srila Jagata was saying that these leaders are accepting all the qualities of animals at a time. Okay, but what if we hear about Lord? Then Gadagraja, the word says Gadagraja, word comes in the sloka. So with Varahoshtrakarai, Purusha Samsuka Farshu, Nayat Karanapato Petu, Jatu Nama Gadagraja. Gadagraja. The word he explains Gadagraja, meaning that Gadagraja, the Lord who comes in front when we hear, who appears in front of sickness. Gada means he translates as sickness. Gadagraja. Agraja means one who comes before. So as its enemy. Thus he will appear and destroy the sickness of anger and other bad qualities of the animalistic man. So even not only animalistic man, even whoever chants the names of the Lord, who are trying to hear the glories of the Lord, Lord will appear in the form of enemy of the sickness, enemy of all these bad qualities, and then he will destroy and he will make us pure, and he will make us our heart pure, and in which the Lord will manifest himself. बिलेबतोरुक्रमविक्रमान्ये न शृण्वतः कर्णपुटे नरस्य जिह्वा सतीदार्दुरुके वसूत न चोप्यगायत्युरुगाय गाथा. Please read.
One who has not listened to the message about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog.
So till now he glorified in a different sense about those personalities who are not listening, who are not spending the time and energy in terms of hearing or glorifying the Lord, Lord's qualities, Lord's form, etc. Now he mentions specific limbs from this verse onwards. He will specific limbs are mentioned, how they compare to different species of life. In this verse, the ear holes, ears and tongue are compared to snakes and the tongues of frog, respectively. So this criticism is criticizing not in terms of hating people, or not arising from the hate towards those people, but it is more from the kind of a compassion or love towards the Supreme Lord, because they have so much love towards Supreme Lord, they have so much of attraction, and they have so much of compassion. So sometimes the compassion comes in the form of a criticism, so that to wake them up more quickly. Sometimes Prabhupada also chastises even outsiders also. Quite heavy words, just to wake them up. But it has time, place, circumstances, who can do, who should not do, how to do. These are all very, very sensitive topics. But this is the way to wake up, especially those people who are very in slumber. That's the main context of the verses. Now, Shronaka Rishi is comparing different limbs with the different species of life. So now here, Prabhupada explains about the actual engagement of the senses, how they should be engaged, how they are. Please read the highlighted portion.
The Lord is the supreme with all senses, and the servitor who is part and parcel of the Lord also has the same senses. Service to the Lord is the completely purified use of the senses as described in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord imparted instructions with full senses, and Arjuna received them with full senses, and thus there was a perfect exchange of sensible and logical understanding between the master and the disciple. Spiritual understanding is nothing like an electrical charge from the master to the disciple, as foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between the master and disciple is possible only when the reception is submissive and real.
Yeah, thank you. So Prabhupada's lines are very profound. Spiritual understanding is nothing like electrical charge from the master to the disciple, as foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between master and disciple is possible only when the reception is submissive and real. This is how the actual transformation of senses has to happen. Hearing from spiritual master and acting. By acting, the senses will gradually change their nature, purify their nature. So if not, no Prabhupada explained the principle, but now he explains the actual text, how it is compared to ears are like snake holes, tongues are like frogs. Please read this one.
If the ear is not engaged in the service of the Lord by hearing about him from the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, certainly the holes of the ear will be filled with some rubbish. Therefore, the message of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam should be preached all over the world very loudly. That is the duty of a pure devotee who has actually heard about them from the perfect sources. Many want to speak something to others, but because they are not trained to speak on the subject matter of Vedic wisdom, they are all speaking nonsense, and people are receiving from them with no sense.
Yeah. So as NY also says that Vachakam Prabhupada explains how one is speaking prajalpa, too much of nonsense about many other things. So these things we need to take care about what we hear, what we speak, etc. The ear should not become snake holes. Where snakes will enter? Snakes enter when there are frogs. I mean snakes like the frogs. Of course, the subject matter here, when people take rubbish things, when they speak rubbish things, they are compared to the frog. Like when they enter into our ears, when the rubbish enters into our ears, then snakes talks of a croaking of a toad, croaking of the frogs. So when they enter the rubbish, when they take residence in our ears, then they are compared to holes where the snakes enter. Right? Actually, ears are like ear holes are like snake holes. So basically, our energy is wasted both in speaking and hearing all the nonsense. And at last, proper experience of Lasati, the Arjuna Sutta, Achopya Gayatu Rugaya Gatha, Vivasati, the word Vivasati, Prabhupada explains here. Please read this one.
The word asati used in this verse is also significant. Asati means a woman who has become a prostitute.
Hare Krishna.
A prostitute. This one only, na Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. A prostitute has no reputation for good womanly qualities.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Achha, which one has to be?
I think Prabhuji's screen sharing has stopped.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I think my connection is a bit weak. Okay, so the verse is mainly emphasizing on how we need to engage our sense of speech and sense of hearing in the service of the Lord, not otherwise. Okay. Text 21. Vara param patta kirita drishtam apyuttamam nanamen mukundam shavo karo nakurute paryam harer lasat kanchana kankanova. Please read.
The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed.
Please read. Hare Krishna.
The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead. Hari. About heads and hands. Three kinds of devotees. Higher class devotees create opportunities to engage the lower class devotees. As stated hereinbefore, there are three kinds of devotees of the Lord. The first class devotee does not at all see anyone who is not in the service of the Lord, but the second class devotee makes distinction.
Yeah.
Devotees
Yeah. We pause. Yes, ma'am. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Bol. Bol, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Should I continue?
Prabhuji, your voice is breaking actually.
He is not finished.
Yeah, I think he got disconnected.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I think today is a great test for me. Okay. So did you read this one?
Sorry,
Okay.
should I continue the highlighted portion?
So pardon? Bas. Yeah, the highlighted portion you read. Did you read?
But the common man who is expected to become at least a third
The highlighted portion.
Yes, Prabhuji, I am reading. But the common man who is expected to become at least a third class devotee is advised herein to visit the temple of the Lord and bow down before the deity, even though he may be very rich man or even a king with a silk turban or crown. The Lord is the Lord of everyone, including the great kings and emperors, and men who are rich in the estimation of mundane people must therefore make it a point to visit the temple of Lord Sri Krishna and regularly bow down before the deity.
The main the head and hands, if they are not engaged in the service of the Lord, if they are not going down to the Lord, then they are compared to actually if the head has, like, if you have any higher position, if you have a great post, position, name, fame, they are compared to a burden on the top of the head if it is not going down to the Lord. If it is not going down to the Lord, though crowned with silk turban, it's compared to a heavy burden, which will drown. Basically, when, let us suppose, in an ocean or in a river, when we have boat made of wood, then it's very easy to cross. But if it is a stone boat, it will easily drown, right? There is no kind of a stone boat that can cross out the ocean. So similarly, if the head is not going down to the Lord, though crowned with many other post, position, name, fame, so many qualities, still if it is not going down, then it is like a burden on the head, which will make us drown in the samsara, the ocean of material existence. So for that, what we need to do? We need in front of the deity. So that's what Prabhupada brings on the topic of deity worship. Deity, because we need to bow down to the Lord in the form of the deity. So how we need to know the deity? The deity is known by hearing. So though it's made of wood or stone, but Lord manifests himself as Atya Vigraha. So we need to bow down to the Lord. So Prabhupada makes the point that by hearing only we'll understand this is the deity, this is the Lord. Prabhupada uses the word Galagraha, and one more word he uses, Galagraha. Yeah, Galagraha means when the deity, he says about that deity only. When we don't hear properly from the spiritual master about the deity or deity worship, when we are not practicing properly, that same Vigraha, same Vigraha will become Kalagraha. Galagraha means, I don't know whether you have experience of villages. In villages, I mean, we used to have, of course, buffaloes in home in my childhood, and they used to tie a big log, especially the buffaloes. Or I didn't see in cows, but buffaloes I have seen. They used to tie a big log, kind of a wood, maybe 2 feet, 3 feet long, and maybe 1 feet thick log they used to tie so that they don't run. Because the heaviness on the neck. Those who are naughty, those are very frivolous animals, they tie this one in their neck. That becomes Galagraha. That is like a heavy burden on the neck. So that's how Prabhupada explains. If you don't hear about the deity, if you don't hear about the process nicely, then the same Vigraha, what is given by the spiritual master, will become a Galagraha. One feels that, why my spiritual master gave me this burden on me? So that's how one feels. Though he is not lifting 1,000 kgs on his head, but still he feels like that because he's not hearing about the deity, the importance of the deity, the process of the deity worship. So that's how Prabhupada says here that the hearing is essential. So as such, the first process in routine work of devotions of the hearing is the essential point. So that's how he says about the deity process. We need to bow down to the deity. From the ocean of material existence. We are all in the grips of God's laws. He says that we will simply drown by not going down to the Lord, by wearing all these turbans, wearing all this big burden on our heads. We will simply drown in the ocean of material existence. Though without any burden on the head, even without any hair on the head, the brahmachari may feel that I don't have hair, I don't have any burden. He will simply drown in the ocean of samsara if he is not practicing sincerely. Okay, that's how he says about the deity worship. We need to bow down. So then, if one says, okay, I have a deity, but I have so many other things to do, I don't have time to bow down to the deity. I mean, I don't have time to worship the deity. What need to do? He probably the Lord may at least engage his hands for a few seconds in washing or sweeping the Lord's temple. So he gives King Pratapradra's example and how he engaged himself in sweeping the pathway of Lord Jagannath, Rath Yatra pastime. So the idea is that however important a man one may be, he must accept the supremacy of the Lord by bowing down to him. By this, God consciousness will help a man even in material prosperity. So how Pratapadra even, he became such a strong king, that he became materially also so prosperous. So Prabhupada explains. So Prabhupada explains here, the verse itself explaining about how one should accept the supremacy of the Lord by bowing down and not to be taking pride in our own achievements, in our own successes, in our own resources that we have, facilities that we have, all these things. At the same time, we need to engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, sapariyam. Otherwise, our karma is simply be like a dead body. Even though they are decorated with kanchana kankanam, though they are decorated either with bangles, golden bangles, or the bracelets of golden bracelets they hang on the hand, but if they are not serving the Lord's temple, Lord's deity, they are like simply hands and heads of a dead man. That's how the verse is saying. Prabhupada explains in a very profound manner. Okay, we'll pause here. Because these verses are so power packed, so I'm taking little time to explain. And also read Prabhupada's very wonderful purports on these verses. It's maybe 2 to 3 more verses are there. We'll complete tomorrow. So they are wonderful verses. So we are continuing the section where Sonaguru Rishi is trying to wake us up from our slumber and trying to make us alert about what we have with us to engage in the Lord's service so that we perfect our life. Yeah, we continue our discussion tomorrow. But I'm extremely sorry for the. Yeah, you have a question. Do you have a question?
No, Prabhu, it was wonderful purports and reading today.
Okay, okay. If you have any question, maybe tomorrow we'll take. Sorry, today we came a little late because of our technical issues. Hope tomorrow I'll try to make some arrangement. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much for your participation. And your presence here. Randra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Anjagala Dharmya Kripasan ki jai. Vedanam Bhavane Bhyo Vaishnava. Antakoti Vaishnava. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.